Hello, hello, this is Mr. K's, and this is Self-Rule for the British Colonies, 26.2a, 26.2a. The sun never set on the British Empire. They owned land all the way around the world. The sun is going to shine somewhere on that land. But you're going to begin to see Britain is going to at least give some measure of home rule to British colonies. Eventually, they're going to lose a lot of them. But Great Britain, controls Canada after the victory in the French and Indian War. After the victory in the French and Indian War in 1763. Upper Canada, which is Ontario, and Lower Canada, which is Quebec, were created to ease English-French tensions. England got Canada in the French and Indian War, but there's French-speaking folk there, and they don't get along with English-speaking folk. Just because you took me over doesn't mean that I'm going to be happy about that. So they divided Canada into Upper and Lower Canada. The Union of Canada in the mid-1800s was to create a stronger central government. The Union of Canada in the mid-1800s occurred to create a stronger central government. Canada, just like the United States, built a transcontinental railroad in 1885 to link East and West coasts. Canada was a dominion, which meant it had self-government in domestic affairs. That means home affairs, self-government in domestic affairs, but was part of a larger empire. It was part of a larger empire, that being the British Empire. So they still had ties to England or Great Britain. Now, half a world away, Captain James Cook sails for England, and he claims the islands of New Zealand and part of Australia for Great Britain in 1769. That's a long time ago. He claimed New Zealand and parts of Australia for Great Britain in 1769. In New Zealand were the natives. They were the Maori tribe. Looks like Maori, but Maori tribe. They were native Polynesian people in New Zealand. Native Polynesian people in New Zealand. And if you want to abbreviate New Zealand NZ, that's fine. That's up to you, if you can remember it. In Australia, the native population was the Aborigines, native population of Australia. They were really dark-skinned folk, curly hair. You could tell that they were there for a long time. As the white men come in, that's the population they met. Australia began as a penal colony. That's where convicts serve out their sentence in this place. So think of Australia as one big penal or prison colony. Here's the deal, though. Upon release, ex-prisoners could buy land and settle down. Ex-prisoners could buy land and settle and become farmers. Free British settlers join former convicts in Australia and New Zealand, and they begin to raise sheep. Free British settlers, folks that were never in prison but wanted to emigrate from Britain, free British settlers join former convicts in Australia and New Zealand to raise sheep. Because here's the deal. Britain's prisons were really full, and they said, you know what, you want to stay here in prison, or do you want to go and settle a colony? Well, it's half a world away, and many convicts chose to settle. Cheap land offered to encourage immigration in the 1800s. There's less and less space in England or Britain, so Britain said, we can offer thousands of acres of land to you fairly cheaply if you'll just immigrate to Australia. and you saw coastal settlements in Australia. The land that was settled first was on the coast, coastal settlements. In New Zealand, Maori land rights were recognized in exchange for British rule. Maori land rights were recognized in exchange for British rule. And then finally, Australia and New Zealand became dominions in early 1900s. What's a dominion? That means they have self-government and domestic affairs, but they're part of the British Empire. Australia and New Zealand became dominions in the early 1900s. Well, we've looked at Canada, we've looked at New Zealand, and Australia. Next, we're going to look at Ireland and the British Empire. Well, that's down the road. This is Mr. K's for 26.2a. I'm out.